Hello, and welcome to Thursday. No, it's not Thursday, it's Wednesday. Gosh, I keep forgetting what day of the week it is. Are you guilty of that as well? Well, I can completely commiserate because every day just kind of blurs together, doesn't it? It certainly does. So it is Thursday, June 17th, if you've forgotten. And again, the year is 2020. Keep your vision open because it's 2020. We see more clearly this year than we ever will again. So let's hopefully see more clearly. I can see clearly. Okay, I'm rambling now. I apologize, but today I'm very excited. Trying to hold it in, as you can see. Okay, I'm somewhat excited. Okay, I'm excited. Let's say that. I'm excited to have on our guest today. She has been doing Broadway since 2007, I believe, and she has done numerous things. I'm sure that you have heard of the musical Cinderella. I'm a huge fan of that, so we may talk about that a little bit. But without further ado, let me introduce Laura Osnes, ladies and gentlemen. Hey!
Hi, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. So how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm here in Connecticut, where I've been sheltering for the last almost 100 days, probably over 100 days,
Wow.
With my husband and a couple friends of ours. So we are hanging in. Thanks.
That's good.
How are you?
I'm good as well. I'm hanging in. I've been sheltering in Savannah, Georgia, in my house here. We, as a family, were grouped together for about 2 months. My wife has since gone back to work. My daughter is off helping out with a summer camp, distancing theatrical summer camp, which is kind of cool. And my son is here in the house with me. He's waiting to go off to college and just kind of bumming around.
There you go. The last summer to bum around before college. That's great.
Exactly. So you've been sheltering this whole time. I know that you probably had some projects lined up, and some of those are still going on. Some of them maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mostly had concerts. I mostly had performances, concert performances across the country that all got postponed from the spring to the fall, that are now likely getting postponed from the fall to next spring, 2021. I think when the whole thing began, no one knew how long it was going to last. And I think now that we're in the summer and nearing those autumn months, people still may not feel quite confident and comfortable getting together in large groups to spectate art. So we may continue on virtually for a little while longer.
Yeah. Have you done any virtual performances during this time?
Yeah, I've actually been asked to make quite a few videos for random events or various theater companies, for social media purposes. Yeah, I've been still singing quite a bit and making videos in my basement here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking beforehand about how I got in touch with you and was able to bring you on the show, but we talked about the fact that during this time you had a 2-week period where you didn't know what you were going to be doing, and then suddenly the waterworks kind of opened up and people started making requests, right?
Yeah, I was very anxious for a little bit, going like, oh no, how everything is canceled. Like, how are we going to pay for things? What, how am I going to continue to stay relevant? What are we going to do? And I started getting a bunch of social media requests to do Q&As or master classes for theater groups and theater companies across the country who had their spring productions canceled, or who were looking for, content to keep their students entertained and growing and learning during this time. And I was so grateful and surprised. And I actually have been teaching for quite a bit, but it's like, one or two classes a month, maybe. And now I've been doing it probably 3 to 4 hours almost every day.
Oh, wow.
Virtually over Zoom, in a group master classes with various companies I work with, as well as private coaching for students preparing for college auditions or, things like that. So I've been so grateful to be able to do that and continue to feel like I have a purpose and I'm making a difference, as well as even bringing in a little bit of money during this time.
Yeah,
which I'm
that's good.
excited about.
Money. We got to keep making money.
We do. And I feel like for a while, for that first 2 weeks there, it was kind of like all hands on deck, and I was getting a whole bunch of asked to do things for free. And you want to help out and you want to do that, but then you're also like, I can't continue to just do everything for free. This is my livelihood. And then I feel like about a month in, people started going like, okay, we have a small budget to be able to pay you for this. And it was like, now slowly the economy has started to kind of, people got their stimulus packages and people have been able to figure out how to still work during this time. And I've been actually pretty inspired at how creative our industry has gotten with, you know, being able to still put art out into the world and stay connected to each other.
Yeah, I'm amazed by the sheer amount of grid style chorus videos that I can watch.
Yeah.
And still be astonished by what people can accomplish.
Exactly.
I think I've cried more than I ever have.
Yeah.
Just because of it all.
We're forced to slow down and stop and just listen and get our priorities in check and not be distracted by so many things that daily life typically brings. And I think it's a lot of people are tapping into their emotions for the first time in a while.
Yeah, definitely. So I would be remiss if I didn't say these things real quick. I have a couple of hellos that I'm supposed to pass on. So when I've seen you perform, just one time, but it was amazing. It was truly an incredible experience. And I think for me, for Broadway, in my mind, it was life-changing. And that was Bandstand.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I really love that show. And I'm glad that it got to continue on and be in theaters. And I think even, gosh, why is my mind not working? Playbill.
Oh yeah, yes, it was released first in movie theaters across the country via Fathom Events, and then Playbill just aired it, and then there was another network that aired it over Memorial Day just a few weeks ago. So it's very special, yes, that the show has gotten to live on in that way, and I'm so grateful they filmed it. We filmed it a week before we closed, so it was just a few performances before our final show together, and very special. And they actually filmed it not knowing what outlet might potentially pick it up or if it would ever get aired someday. And I'm glad that our producers and director had the foresight to know that it was special and capture it so that it could continue to be shared. So thank you. I'm so glad that your life was changed from getting to see the show. I think we felt it all.
My wife went with me. My kids went with me. Sorry.
Go.
My wife's father was actually in World War II.
Huh.
And so she had a direct contact, wishing that he could have seen that, but he passed on a number of years ago. Mm-hmm. But for us, it was just a big heart. We felt what, all the soldiers were feeling on stage, as well as, I just love the name. Trojan, Julia Trojan is a great name. And while I'm speaking of that, I have to say that someone is here to say hello. Jeff Eckstein.
Yay! Hi, Jeff. Hi.
Yeah, I believe Jeff's brother proposed to his wife on stage, right?
Yes, on closing night. So Jeff's brother, Mark, was our choreographer, one of our associate choreographers for the show. And he's been dating his girlfriend Jamie for like 5 years, and I actually had a bunch of conversations with him about so are you ever gonna pop the question? And he came to me and he came to Andy Blankenbuehler, our director choreographer, who's amazing, to get the ring approved and start talking about how to plan this closing night proposal. And it was amazing. There's a video of it on my Instagram. If you go way back to 2.5 years ago when Bandstand closed, because I knew about it, I was the one that got my camera out on that final performance and videoed the whole thing. And it made that performance and that night even more special. Everybody was bawling. It was magical.
Oh, sure. Oh gosh, what a moment. Yeah, so I should also say that Brandon Ellis says hello.
Oh, thank you.
Brandon took us backstage when we came to see it. So I was this close to talking to you, but my family were ready to go. So
Well, now we're chatting now. So.
Exactly, which is perfect. Also, a hello from Andrea Gannon over at the Hilton Head Arts Center.
Yes, love Andrea. Thank you. Yeah, my husband did a show at Hilton Head way back when, and we have befriended the Gannons, and we stayed at their place, and we keep in touch every few months, checking in on each other. So
really, so your husband did a show at the theater. What show?
He did. He did South Pacific.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was back in like 2008, I think. This is my dog Lila, by the way.
Hi, Lila.
She's sitting here on my lap, very happy to be involved.
Now, what is Lila? She's got an interesting.
She's a Chihuahua mix.
Okay.
Her mom was full Chihuahua, and the mom was rescued pregnant and then had 5 puppies. So we don't know what the daddy is, but she's the love of our life. She's 9 years old, and it's my favorite.
Yeah, I have 3 cats wandering around here, but they generally don't come on the show.
That's right. Lila, she just wanted to make a cameo. She just had to pop up, and now she's content again on my lap.
Perfect. So I've gone down a list. I've written some questions down. I'm going to go ahead and ask some. So you first started your Broadway career with the NBC show, Grease, You're the One That I Want. How was that?
It was nuts. For those of you that don't know, I did a TV reality show that kind of made my dream come true. It was my big break. I was currently playing Sandy in a regional production of Grease in Minnesota when I heard about the NBC thing, and I asked my director if I could take a weekend off and fly to LA for this, and he gave me the green light. And so I took a weekend off and flew, and I had to keep calling them back and be like, I made it another day. I need to stay 2 more days. And then I ended up leaving that production early, eventually, to move to LA and compete live on TV every week.
Yeah.
And America voted, and we performed. It was like American Idol in that way.
Yeah.
And, ended up winning that competition, which it's nuts. I look back and I'm like, how did that happen? I never guessed that would have been my plan and my story. And it's unreal.
Well, I mean, none of us know how we get to where we are. We have no way of knowing that this is going to be the path that we take. But I think that's great that it led you there. There's a certain amount of cheese to it, right?
Sure. Yeah. There's tons of cheese. I feel like, especially with a show like Grease, that's kind of like, cotton candy and gumballs and 50s. And, there is actually a lot of depth to Grease, and it's kind of dirtier than a lot of people think. But it was a neat experience for me. I grew a lot. I was 21 at the time, so I had no idea what I was doing. And being, the little girl from Minnesota who dreamed of being on Broadway, I did it because the prize was a lead in a Broadway show. I didn't really do it for the fame or to even get exposure. I was like, I want to be on Broadway. Right. And I'm really playing this role, so like maybe I have a shot. And I just had this peace the whole time that I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be, and we'll see what happens. And good thing I followed that intuition, because I ended up winning the thing, and my dream came true when I was 21. So it was wild. I wouldn't do it again, but I'm glad I did it once.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what that would be like. I mean, of course, the whole genre of reality-based contest shows has changed quite a bit since then. And that was like a definite niche that it filled.
We were kind of the first of its kind, at least for Broadway. They've done it a lot in London and a little bit in Canada. And we were kind of the first in America, the kind of trial run. And it didn't really do that well. I feel like people who watched it, people who were Broadway fans watched it. And then everyone else in the country was like, what was that? I didn't even know it existed, which is fine. That was our audience.
I was an audience member, I'll admit it.
Nice, thank you.
So that out of the way, you went on next. Let's see, I have Cinderella down, but I don't think that was your next role, was it?
No, Cinderella was 5th. So my next, after Grease, I did South Pacific and replaced Kelly O'Hara, who was pregnant at the time. And so they were seeking an immediate replacement because she was getting bigger by the day.
Yeah. Wow. So let's talk about Cinderella, though, because I have some special ties to Cinderella as well. Sure. It was my first show that I ever did. I played 5 different roles.
Oh, wow. Wait, when you were like young?
Younger.
Younger. Okay.
So yeah, I was.
You like got into theater later in your life. I roped my dad into doing community theater. My dad is an optometrist. He's an eye doctor, and I like roped him into doing theater with me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I started when I was 40.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so through that, my daughter started doing shows as well. This was in our children's theater, which is a community theater, Savannah Children's Theater here.
So
And she is there now. They're doing a kind of a distanced, social distanced camp. They actually won't have an audience. It's recorded and then shown to the parents later. But yeah, she's there now. She followed that path for the last so-and-so years. But yeah, Cinderella.
It's special. It's
yeah.
What do you want to know?
I don't know. I mean, they kind of reimagined it a little bit, and this was you were the first person to play that Cinderella.
Yeah, so the show has actually never been done on Broadway before. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote a musical of it for Julie Andrews, and for a live televised production in like in the 50s. Yeah. 1954 or something like that, 1950 something. And then it was remade with Leslie Ann Warren in the 70s, and then again with Brandy in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there has been a tour of it at some point and various productions, but it had never, ever been done on Broadway. And so we got to expand it out. The script was completely rewritten by Douglas Carter Bean, and we added about, I think, 8 songs to the show from the Rodgers and Hammerstein trunk. That were taken out and finally given their time to shine in our musical version of Cinderella. So it was really, really special. And I developed the show for about 2.5 years before we finally came to Broadway, doing workshops and labs and readings and things. So it really became a part of me, and it was a very, very special experience, and a moment I didn't think was going to be, so like pivotal. It was my 5th Broadway show. I feel like I had, proven myself beyond being the reality TV girl. But Cinderella really ended up being like a moment in my career, with like another Tony nomination, and I won the Drama Desk Award that year, and things I was not expecting at all. And the cast was so lovely. I got to work with Victoria Clark, who I had looked up to for so long, and my prince Santino.
Yeah.
Such good friends still, and it was awesome.
That's great. I do have a question. How was performing Cinderella at the Tony Awards, and how did that quick change dress work?
Eric, I have to say that was probably the most stressful day of my entire life. More than like prepping for my wedding, like more than anything. The Tonys are a big day. It's the moment you dream of, from when you're a little girl, and then when you're actually there, you're like, how are we supposed to survive this? But so grateful and exciting. But it was amazing to obviously get to perform as Cinderella on the Tony Awards and have that performance be recorded for all time. But the Tonys are on a Sunday, so it's the end of a week. So you're always exhausted. We had 2 shows the day before, and you actually do a matinee on Tony Sunday. So on that day, you go to Radio City at like 9 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning for like a camera blocking rehearsal in costume, which is early for theater folks. We like to sleep in because we work at night, obviously. And then you go do a matinee, and then you have to get red carpet ready to walk the carpet. So you're like sweating from your show, like completely gross, and getting all glammed up to walk the carpet, back into my costume to perform on the Tonys, and then back into my red carpet look to sit in the audience again and wait for my category to be called. So it's a very stressful day, but also amazing. You kind of black out when you're performing during the Tonys. I don't remember it at all. And obviously that costume change, William Ivy Long, our Tony Award-winning costume designer, designed that whole transformation dress just for the Tony performance. Actually, that is not the dress we used at night in the show 8 times a week. He didn't want to give away the secrets on the Tony Awards. And also the way that the transformation worked in the show, it was like a 2-part process, and I had to like go to a tree and get a hug from a tree and then walk away with a gown. And at Radio City, we weren't able to have the same proscenium and bring our set there the way we did at home on our Broadway stage. And so it wasn't practical to do what we did at night. And so he took the opportunity to design something completely new. And it was incredible. With just the flick of like one thing, the whole transformation happened. And you can actually look at the video. I actually missed the hook to pull the first time, and I have to pull it again. And that dress particularly took 20 minutes to get into. So I had to be folded just so, which is what also made that transformation impractical for the show, for the Broadway show at night.
Yeah, you can't be off stage for 20 minutes during a Broadway show.
Can't do that. So I'd only really gotten, I think, probably 4 or 5 times to practice it before the actual Tony Awards, because it took so long to get into, right? It wasn't just like, oh yeah, let's do it again. And once it was in, it was very like tight. And so I had to kind of yank to pull the pin to get it out. And it happened, but it was a little late. And then I tripped getting into the carriage too, because I was behind. So if you go back and watch the video, you can tell I almost fall getting into the carriage. But you remember the bad parts.
Yeah.
You also have to remember how incredibly joyous it is, and your heart is just pounding, because not only is Radio City, the hugest venue, I think, in New York, I mean, besides like Madison Square Garden, obviously, but I think it holds 6,000 or something like that. So you're performing for 6,000 people while also being live taped to, televisions across the country and millions of homes in America. So it's a very exciting day, and thank goodness I had an incredible cast who carried each other through.
So by my count, you have 2 Tony performances, correct?
3.
3, okay.
Yeah, we performed for Grease, and then we performed for Bandstand and Cinderella.
Right.
And then Anything Goes performed on the Tonys, but I was not in that number, actually.
Yeah. That was the huge Sutton Foster tap dance number.
Yeah.
That one, I love that so much. What was it like working with Sutton and Joel Grey?
Oh, it was dreamy. I've looked up to Sutton forever. I saw her in Thoroughly Modern Millie. When I was in high school, I saw her in Little Women. I've just been such a fan of her and her voice forever. And I remember the first day of rehearsal for Anything Goes. I was sitting next to Colin. Donald was playing opposite me for the read-through. Like, first day of rehearsal, we're reading the script, and Sutton was on the other side of Colin, and like she's singing and talking, and I'm just like pinching myself, going, "This is the voice I've listened to forever." And she's just the sweetest. She's so professional, and just has such a positive energy in the space, and she works so hard, and she's awesome. It was really a treat. Yeah, Joel Grey, legendary.
I've followed Sutton for a long time, and I can see that about her, and I can also see that about you. You have that positive energy as well.
Thanks.
Let's see, what else we got? Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
So I will tell you.
Cinderella.
Jordan, of course, and Bonnie and Clyde.
Jeremy Jordan, yes.
Jeremy Jordan, yes. I only call him by his last name. That's just
all right, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. But you actually recorded a cameo for my daughter's performance of Bonnie and Clyde at the Children's Theater when they did it 2 years ago.
Amazing.
Yes, and it was a special moment for them. I'm glad that performers get to do that and add that specialness to someone's experience. How many of those have you done, do you think?
Let me check. I've done a lot. So explain Cameo for those people that don't know.
So for people who don't know what Cameo is, it is basically this app that you can have on your phone, you download on your phone, and you can look up people in the performance industry, people in theater, people who are doing everything, reality television, whatever you want.
Sports stars, entertainment stars. And
you can book them to give a loved one or someone a special message. So essentially, they got a special message from you for Bonnie and Clyde, and it was nice. It was you were so warm about it and so personal about it. So it's a cool way to get to connect with fans. Again, being accessible in that way, and to get a personalized video for someone's birthday or for someone's opening night or a cast of a show. It's cool. It's a cool way for us to get to connect, and then makes a very special experience for the people receiving the video. Okay, are you ready for this? I've made 622 cameos. Oh my gosh. I do, maybe, I don't know, on average, 8 a week or something. Yeah. Just, I don't know.
over time. It goes, and it ebbs and flows, goes in seasons.
Yeah.
It's a very popular thing right now during the quarantine is a cool way to, connect with people. So.
Yeah, I think there's another format that I just found because I'm a huge fan of John Cleese. And he's on Cameo. Have you heard of Cameo?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, he's offering like I think just a little one-on-one. You can do a one-on-one through Cameo with whoever you like.
Hey.
But my price is $199, so I think I'm gonna
Sure, stick with the Cameos. Yeah, I work with a bunch of different companies. There's another website called Broadway Plus that books like, virtual meet and greets, videos as well, like Cameo does, Q&A sessions and things like that. Another website called Broadway Booker that does like coachings and master classes as well as like Zoom bombs. So yeah, there's a lot of different companies are getting very creative. Again, like I said, with ways to
Zoom bombs
connect virtually. Yeah.
So
Check
they're
it out,
having
guys.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That's a nice surprise for somebody. Let's see what else we got here. So I'm going to ask you about Broadway Alliance Academy.
Broadway Artist Alliance.
Yes, of course. And they're offering some virtual summer.
Yeah, Broadway Artist Alliance is another company that I work with, and like all the ones I just shouted out, that I'm coaching with a lot and doing group master classes, and they helped set up this today. So you can check out their website too and email them for private coachings as well, and group master classes.
And they're offering classes right now online. So I would be remiss if I did not talk about them. We got
to shout them out. Broadway Artist Alliance.
Exactly. My daughter was set to go to the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music summer workshop. And I think right after this started, we got a cancellation email. But they started up a virtual camp. So she's at her camp counseling while also doing the virtual camp with them this week.
Nice. All the things.
Yeah, all the things. And yesterday, she actually got to sit in with the director of Bandstand.
Yeah, Andy Lincoln.
Yeah, I think so.
My dog is freaking out.
That's okay. Laura's dog is going to go get a snack, and she's going to calm down, and now she's back.
I'm so sorry. I know this is live. She's like, Mark, I'm like, I don't know what she wants.
Yeah. But they got like a backstage sort of insight from him, and they're creating a new musical based on Steven Spielberg.
Oh, cool.
And you haven't even heard about this.
I haven't.
Okay. Well, I'll look for it. It's called Bruce, I believe.
Bruce. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if people know about it, so maybe I shouldn't be talking about it. That's okay.
What's cool is like, for better or for worse, musicals take years to be written and to come to fruition. And even when things are announced, it potentially is still 5 years away.
Right.
So, I've learned never to count on anything until I signed the contract, because there were so many things. Even Bandstand was like gonna come to Broadway, and it took an extra year and a half before it finally did. And, I was supposed to do a musical of Crazy for You that was gonna come to Broadway, and keeps getting delayed and not happening. And so it's really, a lot of things are being written and are Broadway bound, and sometimes it takes a year and sometimes it takes 5 years. So it's good to know that it's being written and people are continuing to be creative, and we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah. And I guess along those same lines, advice to anyone who's watching who wants to enter the world of this, be patient.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's actually one of the things I typically say. I'm like, be yourself. Know that own the gifts you have, and be proud of who you are, and walk confidently into every audition room and every role you play, owning what makes you unique and special. And then, be patient. There were so many things I did not get, things I still don't get. But like, I didn't get Sandy at community theater when I was 16, and then 4 years later won a national competition to play Sandy and Grease on Broadway. So like, relax, be patient. Your time will come.
Exactly.
And then the thing is always follow your own path. Know that everybody's path is different. Some people will go to college, some people don't. Some people follow opportunities that come. Some people have wanted to do this since they were 5. Other people discover it when they're 40. And everybody's path is very different. So plow your own.
Very true. So I have one question for my daughter, and she's told me that I have to ask this because she's on today. She wants to know what your favorite backstage tradition or ritual is.
Ooh. Every show I've done since South Pacific, so that was my second show. Remember, I did Grease first. I have found 60 seconds to plank backstage during, at some point, the run of the duration of the show. And typically it's in the same spot every time. So I develop a routine and I build it into my track in the show where I'm planking backstage for 60 seconds. And it started because I had to wear a bathing suit on stage in Cinderella. In South Pacific, sorry. So I was like, all right, it's time to plank. And then I just kept it up. I did it during Anything Goes. I did it during Cinderella. I did it during Bandstand. I did it during Bonnie and Clyde too. I also had to I had to show my stomach as well. So Jeremy and I would always plank backstage and Bonnie and Clyde.
That's fun. Oh gosh. Well, I think we're about at the end of our time, but I so appreciate you being on here today, and I know that everyone out there has appreciated it too.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And I just want to say this as a going away praise to you. I know you get enough praise already, but I find your voice so clear and just so pure that it's just so enjoyable to listen to. I'm going to probably listen to you right after this, which is.
Aww. Well, thanks. I'm honored. It really means a lot. Thank you. And thanks for all your support over all the years from Greece, all the way from Greece till now. So.
Yes. Awesome. You have a wonderful day, Laura, and give your dog an extra treat.
I will. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Georgia. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, here we go. Yes. Sorry. I almost ended the broadcast, and you know how that is. I end the broadcast, and then you don't see my face anymore, which probably some of you would appreciate, but maybe others wouldn't. Thank you so much, Laura, for being on the show today. Tomorrow, we have Sandra Karras, who is with the Savannah Repertory Theater and is also a representative of equity. And we should be talking about some equity stuff tomorrow. So that should be very interesting. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I shall see you soon.